Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavad-Gita as it is, chapter 3, text number 9, I believe. Karma Yoga. Jagnatat karmano yatra. Lokoyam karma bandhana. Tadardam karma kondeya. Mukta sangha samachara. Jagnatat karmano yatra. Lokoyam karma bandhana. Tirartam karma kondeya. Mukta sangha samachara. Lokoyam karma bandhana. Mukta sangha samachara. Jagnata karmano nyatra. Lokoyam karma bandhana. Tirartam karma konteya. Mukta sangha samachara. Jagnata karmano nyatra. Lokoyam karma bandhana. Tirartam karma kondeya. Mukta sangha samachara. Anyone else? Jagna yagya artha. Done only for the sake of yagya. Or Vishnu. Karmana. Then work. Anyatra. Otherwise. Loka. World. Anyam. This. Karma bandhana. Bondage by work. Tat. Of him. Artam. For the sake. Karma. Work. Kunteya. O son of Kunti. Mukta sangha. Liberated from association. Samachara. Do perfectly. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and that way you will always remain free from bondage. Please repeat. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and that way you'll always remain free from bondage. Purport. Since one has to work even for the simple maintenance of the body, prescribed duties for a particular social position and quality are so made that that purpose can be fulfilled. Yagya means Lord Vishnu. or sacrificial performances. All sacrificial performances also are meant for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. The Vedas enjoin Jagno Vai Vishnu. In other words, the same purpose is served whether one performs prescribed yagyas or directly serves Lord Vishnu. Krishna consciousness is therefore performance of yagya as it is prescribed in this verse. The Varnashram institution also aims at satisfying Lord Vishnu. Varnashramam acharya purushena parak puman Vishnur aradhyate. The Vishnu Purana 388. Therefore one has to work for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Any other work done in this material world will be the cause of bondage. For both good and evil work have their reactions, and any reaction binds the performer. Therefore, one has to work in Krishna consciousness to satisfy Krishna or Vishnu. And while performing such activities, one is in a liberated stage. This is the great art of doing work. And in the beginning, this process requires very expert guidance. One should therefore act very diligently under the expert guidance of a devotee of Lord Krishna, or under the direct instructions of Lord Krishna himself, under whom Arjuna had the opportunity to work. Nothing should be performed for sense gratification, but everything should be done for the satisfaction of Krishna. This practice will not only save one from the reaction of work, but also gradually elevate one to the transcendent loving service of the Lord, which alone can raise one to the kingdom of God. So the text again. Jagnatat karmano nyatra lokayam karma bandhana sarartamapi kuntiya mukta sangha samachara. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed, otherwise work binds one to this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and that way you'll always remain unattached and free from bondage. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswatam Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskadyade Siddharne. In the second chapter of the Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna has explained that we're not the body. That the body is simply the vehicle in which the soul is traveling. And in Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna has said in different places that the soul is really has nothing to do with the body, nor is he actually entangled. Anadidvam nirguradvat paramatmayam avyam Sharira stopi kontya na karoti nanavidyate. Anadidvan, those who have the eyes of eternity, nirgunadvat, realize the soul is actually not part of the three gunas. Paramatmayam avyam Sharira stopi kontya, in spite of being in contact with the material body, na karoti, he's not doing anything, na lipyate, nor is he actually entangled. But our consciousness is entangled by ignorance. And because we're in ignorance, therefore, instead of serving and worshiping Krishna, we're now desiring to please our material senses. It is said that Krishna Bahira-mukha Bhoga Vanchatare Nikatastamaya Tare Japatiyadare. As soon as one turns one's face away from Krishna, as soon as we're not conscious of Krishna, then at once Maya slaps us down. In the absence of Krishna consciousness, one will automatically be looking for happiness in some part of the material existence. And the way the material nature works, that when one is looking for happiness in the mode of material existence, one must become afflicted by the different types of material energy, namely dhyato, vishayam pumsam, sangas teshu pajayate, sangat sanjayate kama, kama krodo bijayate. Kroda bhavati samoha, samahat smriti vibram sat, smriti bram sat buddhina sho, buddhina shat pranashati. As soon as we're not happy by absorption in Krishna consciousness, then naturally we'll be looking for happiness in the material world. And when we find some object that may attract us, then we become lusty to enjoy it, whether it be something to eat, or even a place to sleep, or some opportunity for sex life, or security, or wealth, power, fame, whatever. We become lusty to enjoy these things. And of course, if we're actually able to enjoy in the material world, we become greedy for more and more and more material enjoyment. People, if we get a nice gulab jamun and we eat it, we don't think, oh, such a nice gulab jamun, next year I'll take another one. No, immediately we want another gulab jamun and then another one until the gulab jamuns start coming out our ears. Therefore, greed follows lust. As day follows night, so greed follows lust. And when lust cannot be satisfied, then the energy of anger is manifested. And all during this time of lust and anger and greed, gradually we become more and more deluded. We're already deluded by intoxication, by identification with this material body. But the more we become absorbed in sense gratification, then the more we become absorbed in the bodily concept of life. And we forget any real knowledge we might have. And at the end, we simply lose our intelligence and utilize whatever intelligence we have for becoming more and more absorbed in material energy. Therefore, the soul cannot stop from desiring, because the very nature of the soul is to desire it. But when the soul forgets Krishna, he'll automatically become involved in material desires, of which there is different types of material desire, like lust and anger and greed, which Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gita, Trividam narakasyedam dwaram nashitam atmanaha kama kroda tata lobas tasmat etam trayam chajet. There are three gates leading to hell, namely lust, anger, and greed, and every sane person should give them up because they lead to the degradation of the self. Etanya pitu karmani. No, sorry. Etanya. Etera vimukta kondiya, tamodwara sribinira, atrat yat manasreya satoyati paramgatim. Etera vimukta kondiya, tamodwara sribinira, atrat yat manasreya satoyati paramgatim. That anyone who can give up these three gates to hell will perform acts which are conducive to self-realization, and thus they gradually will reach the supreme destination. And what is the secret? How to get out of the material nature? Krishna says, Yakshasrim vidim usrija vartate kamakarata nasasudim avatnoti nasukam na param gatim. That one who gives up Shastra and acts whimsically can have neither peace nor happiness nor the supreme destination. In other words, in this world, our shelter is Shastra. Krishna is appearing before us in the form of his instructions. If we're absorbed in Shastra, then we're out of the material nature. And if we're not absorbed in Shastra, then we're in material consciousness. Prabhupada wanted us to study his books, not simply so we had something to do, or he could sell more books. The idea is that we're under the influence of the divine nature if we're following, understanding the Shastra. If not, then we'll be under the influence of the external energy. Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, Chaitasa sarva karmani, maya sanyasya matparaha, buddhi-yogam upashritya, matshita ksatatam bhava, matshita sarva dorgani, matprasara tarishyasi, atacha tvamahankaram, nishroshasi vinangshasi. In all activities, depend upon me, work always under my protection, in such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. If you become conscious of me, then you'll pass over all the obstacles of conditional life by my grace. If, however, you work not hearing me, then you'll be lost. In other words, we have to constantly be engaged, whether we're physically reading the Shastra or seeing through the eyes of Shastra. It is not that we simply have to sit there and read Shastra all day long and do nothing else. No, we have to see through the eyes of Shastra and work accordingly, ultimately to please Krishna. Therefore, one has to study Shastra and then put it into practice, and when Krishna dadami buddhi yogam tam, and when Krishna gives us the intelligence, then tesham sadatam yuktanam bhajantam pratipurvakam. Then we'll become more and more steady and more enthusiastic to render service to Krishna. As soon as we lose track, as soon as we stop focusing our attention on Krishna and become enthusiastic to follow his instructions, then at once the illusory energy will overcome us. And how do we know when the illusory energy overcomes us? Because we lose our taste for hearing and chanting about Krishna. We lose our taste for hearing, understanding, and serving the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that's usually caused by offenses. Therefore, although in this age we're not very likely to follow the Varna and Ashram system, we may designate ourselves as Brahmins, or I don't think anyone can really designate themselves as Kshatriyas or even Vaishyas, maybe Shudras, if we're a little submissive. Therefore, in this age, our main duty, because there are two types of swadharmas, given by the Varna and Ashram system, and the other is given by the disciple succession. And our disciple succession comes from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Yari Deka, Tari Kaha, Krishna Upadesh, Amara Aga Guruhana Tari Desh. Whoever we meet, our duty is to think how to help them become Krishna conscious. We may not know perfectly well how to help everyone become Krishna conscious, because Dhruva Maharaj, when the residents from Vaikuntha came to bring him back to the spiritual world, he did not know what to say, so he said Hare Krishna. So that was perfect. If we don't know what else to say to someone to help them become Krishna conscious, we can just say Hare Krishna. In any case, that is ultimately our relationship. That is Gopi Bharta Pada Kamalayora Dasa Dasa Anudasa. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has declared himself to be simply the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna's servants. And service to Krishna in this age means to help others take to the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, engage in some service to the mission of Mahaprabhu. If in our interaction with others, we're not engaging people, we're not inspiring them to engage in the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then that particular relationship is useless. We're wasting their time and we're wasting our time. We may be pleasing to others, we may even get the glorification of others. But if it's not really engaging them in Krishna's service in some way, helping them to understand what the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, and to become inspired to engage in it, then our activities are more or less shrama eva hi kevalam. So that's the mission, somehow or another, engage others in Krishna's service and try to help them to become more enthusiastic for that service. Therefore, machita machkata prana bodhiyantash parashparam katayantas tramam nityam tu shanti cha ramanti cha. Our thoughts have to dwell in Krishna, our lives have to be surrendered to Krishna, and then we have to inspire others either to become steadily engaged in Krishna's service, or if they are steadily engaged in Krishna's service, how to increase their enthusiasm for that service of Krishna. Then our activities are successful in the real sense of the word. Then, the more one becomes absorbed in such activities, then automatically one will remember Krishna. If we try to remember Krishna artificially, without full absorption in service, that will not be possible, because as soon as we forget Krishna's service, then we'll become subjected to the material desires by beginning with contemplating the objects of the senses. If we're not doing our activities to please Krishna, under Krishna's guidance and the guidance of his representatives, then we must be engaged in material activities. And such activities will simply induce us to try to gratify the ever incessant demands of the senses. So even if there are material desires present, still one cannot forget his duty to help others become Krishna conscious. Then, if we're doing that, then to some degree, Krishna will be present. Naturally, Krishna will be present. If we accept that everything here belongs to Krishna, nothing actually belongs to me, I'm not free to do with any part of the material energy anything that I'm inspired to or feel like doing, but everything here must be utilized in Krishna's service. Otherwise, I'll become involved in material consciousness. As soon as we forget that, then we'll become subjected to the influence of lust, anger, greed, delusion, madness, envy, etc. And if we accept everything here belongs to Krishna, next we have to contemplate how to utilize Krishna's energies in Krishna's service. So Krishna wants us to inspire others to become Krishna conscious wherever we meet. It doesn't matter whether they're strangers or friends or family members or even the animals. Our business is somehow or another help others become conscious of Krishna. And if we do that according to the instructions and the example of previous acharyas, and of course we have the best example in Srila Prabhupada, how he was completely dedicated to spreading Krishna consciousness, not sometimes, but 24 hours a day. And he was expert in manifesting exactly how to utilize one's body his mind, his words, in order to inspire others to become involved in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. If we follow such examples and instructions and dedicate our activities to please Krishna, then the result is that we'll naturally remember Krishna. That's called Krishna consciousness. And by remembering Krishna, we won't be under the influence of the external energy. On the other hand, Prabhupada says, if one doesn't go through that process, if one really doesn't accept that everything here belongs to Krishna and must be utilized in Krishna's service, if I want to avoid material consciousness, if I want to avoid misidentifying myself with this gross and subtle material nature, my body, and others also, if I want to avoid that, then I must accept everything as belonging to Krishna. And I must find out from Krishna what he wants me to do with his energy through Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And I must sincerely engage in such activities in order to please Krishna with some priti purvakam, with some enthusiasm. Otherwise, if I do things without that formula, then I must be acting whimsically. And such activities can't actually be, such results cannot actually be offered to Krishna. I did everything wrong, and at the end I want to give the results to Krishna. Here's a blind cow. I don't know what to do with it, so I'll give it in charity. Let someone else worry about it. So Prabhupada says that activity, that order of Krishna comes down through the simple succession from the bona fide spiritual master, and therefore if one gets a bona fide spiritual master and acts according to his instructions, then one's success in life in Krishna consciousness is guaranteed. By such duties, we may not become very famous, we may not become very healthy, materially successful, we may encounter so many problems, but we'll become Krishna conscious. And tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjana. And at the end of this body, we become eligible to either come back and join the Sankirtan movement somewhere else, or join with Krishna in his pastimes in some universe and become qualified to go back to the spiritual world. And in the spiritual world, what is everyone doing? Whoever the residents of the spiritual world meet, they simply help each other become more conscious of Krishna. We don't find the gopis when they meet each other in the Krishna book, they're talking about the weather, or that King Kangsa got re-elected as the king. No, they're only talking about Krishna and things in relationship to Krishna. And everything they do is either to directly please Krishna, or generally it's to assist others in their activities to please Krishna. So they're only talking about Krishna and making arrangements for Krishna's happiness and the happiness of Krishna's associates, and their happiness is to make Krishna happy. So the same thing that goes on in the spiritual world is supposed to go on in this world also. That's our actual duty. It may be manifested in the forms of karma yoga, jnana yoga, astanga yoga, but the perfect manifestation of those different types of yoga is the bhakti-yoga, where one is simply dedicated to try to make Krishna happy and to assist Krishna's servants in that endeavor. As assistants in the simple succession, Prabhupada wanted us to do very practical things. Distribute books, especially his books, chant Hare Krishna, distribute prasadam, and follow. So he gave us so many instructions how to have nice temples, how to have nice family life in Krishna consciousness, and it's there in Prabhupada's books. So we should study Prabhupada's books, try to understand how it applies to us personally in our lives, put it into practice, and naturally we'll become Krishna conscious, and Vishani Nivartante, Nirharasi Dehinam, Rasa Vardam Rasopyasya Param Drishva Nivartate. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense objects, but although that taste for sense objects remains, but ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, one becomes fixed in consciousness. If we follow the formula, experience the happiness of associating with Krishna, and his associates feel the pleasure in such association, then we won't be attracted to external objects. Vayas parsheva saktatma, bindatyatmani yatsukam, sabrahma yoga yuktatma, sukham akshayam ashnute. Such a person is not attracted to material senses and their objects, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure from within. In this way, the self-realized soul enjoys unlimited happiness because he concentrates on the Supreme. So that's what we have to do. We may not be able to remember Krishna's pastimes in the spiritual world, but at least here we should remember that we're servants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that we should fully engage ourselves in this pastime of bringing Krishna's other children back to the spiritual world. Then automatically this world will become not a material world, we'll be able to experience it as a spiritual world. And the miseries that come from material consciousness will gradually cease. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
Are we to say for this life, forget about the material ashram varna, and just take it like we're just supposed to be devotees, speak about books and preachers or practice yoga? I mean, is that our...
There are in our society varna, well, he's ashram to a small degree, brahmachari, grihastha, and generally there's sannyasis. So we don't give it up because we're not paramahamsas.
What are the material that varna compared to ashram? I mean, like you said, most of us are not even proper shudra anymore, but...
Well, somehow or another we have to earn some money. And it would be ideal, at least if there was a class of devotees who took seriously protecting cows and growing some food. We're not about to have kshatriyas who are going to be kings. There's no one to be king of. And as far as brahmanas, there may be a few brahmanas, Prabhupada wanted to train our brahmanas, but the main reason was to preach, spread Krishna consciousness. So the householders, ideally, they should live on a farm and live simply enough so that they can be supported simply by protecting cows and growing some food. But if they can't do that for some reason, or they don't want to do that, then have some money, but keep the house Krishna conscious. Worship the deities, chant Hare Krishna with the family, take prasadam, spend some money for the spreading of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, the essential point is to focus the mind on Krishna and try to do something enthusiastically to serve him. A simpler way of doing that is to follow a simple system given in the Varnashram system. But if we're not able to do that, then make the best use of a bad bargain. But we don't neglect or reject the Varnashram system. But it seems that most devotees are not able to employ it or engage themselves in it very well. Therefore, make the Sankirtan mission the center. And whatever we can take from the Varnashram system to assist us, we can take that. But the main thing is become absorbed in spreading Krishna consciousness. And that means whoever we meet, even when we meet our husband or wife, don't forget that they're Krishna's servants and I'm Krishna's servant. And my real business is to help them become conscious of Krishna. Yes. We give up so many things, but we can't give up our nature. Well, we're not going to give up our nature because it's not our nature. We're observers of the material energy. It says in the Bhagavad-Gita that Yatha bhuta pritag bhavam ekam stam anupashyati tata eva chavistaram brahma sampadite tata. When a sensible person ceases to see different material natures and sees the oneness or the equality of all living entities, then he actually can see. So we're riding on this as a passenger of this material of the body. It's not a question of changing the material nature because it's not us. It's waking up to who we actually are. Well, humble man, humble means to be a servant of Krishna. That's humility. Angry, we should be angry at Krishna's enemies. So we don't give up anger, we utilize it properly. If we're angry out of lust and anger and greed, then we chant Hare Krishna and become purified, and that will go away. But if I'm 5 feet tall and I chant Hare Krishna, I won't become 10 feet tall. So that's what that nature I'm going to have. But it's not us. It's simply the body that we're in. Or even the subtle body can be purified. But generally speaking, it does not completely change. Until one becomes completely liberated. And then Krishna will do with whatever he wants. Being this body, being his instrument. Yes.
It is said that we should do everything for Krishna. So practically, how we should implement this in our life while working in office or at home?
Well, Prabhupada would recommend give at least 50% of your income to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. And then you won't have too much left to speculate about. So give percentage to spread Krishna consciousness. Or the other, engage in your own family life to make it become Krishna conscious too. But if we don't employ our energies in Krishna service, then it's a big problem. We have too much to speculate about how we're going to enjoy the material energy. Anything else? Okay.
Maharaj, one devotee was asking me that, he's not having place for chanting, feeling sleepy in chanting because of Vaishnava Aparadha. But I see him as very humble, non-offensive person, not criticizing anybody. So is it only because a Vaishnava Aparadha person will not have place for chanting Harinam, or some other offenses can be there as such?
Well, one should be enthusiastic to serve Krishna. It's not enough to be humble, so-called humble. Otherwise, one may think I'm so humble, but we're not anything. We're simply the servants of Krishna. So, real humility will be there when one is very enthusiastic to simply become an instrument for Krishna. Otherwise, one may be meditating upon how exalted one is because one is so humble, and how fallen everyone else is because they're not as humble as I am. So that also is offensive. Anything else? Yes.
Like you mentioned, going to Krishna's pastimes in another universe, going back to God.
Yeah. Well, those who are participating in Krishna's service in this lifetime, if they come up to a certain level of perfection, then they may become eligible to join with Krishna's Leela as he displayed it 5,000 years ago here on this planet, so that Leela is going from one universe to the next. And those who, before one goes back to the spiritual world, one has to become trained up by the Nitya Siddha devotees there, so that when one gets to the spiritual world, he knows how to serve Krishna there. Yeah, it's not like we're going to get there and we're going to ask, what am I supposed to do here? And they tell us and think, well, I don't want to be here. What's that? No, we have to be trained up in Krishna's service and personally serve Krishna there or serve Krishna's devotees there. Anything else? Yeah.
Often hear chant 16 rounds and for able to Krishna and you go back to Godhead. So how we reconcile? Prabhupada's guarantee that you go back to Godhead, and on the other hand you also hear that
Chant 16 rounds defenselessly. Become fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness by doing it. Then you can go back and join Krishna's Leela and become trained up to go back to the spiritual world. Krishna's Leela here 5,000 years ago in Gokul is not different from the spiritual world. As soon as one joins Krishna's Leela, he is in the spiritual world. Gopakumara in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, he didn't see much of a difference between Gokula Vrindavan and Goloka Vrindavan. So it's not like, oh, now I got to join Krishna's Leela, I'm still in training. No, there's nothing. One gets Krishna's personal association there, along with his Nitya Siddha devotees. But still some training has to be there. And even when we get back to the spiritual world, it's not that there's no training. Rati Manjari is always learning from Srimati Radharani and how to play the veena, so she can sing more sweetly for Radha and Krishna. So if somehow or another Srimati Radharani wants to teach us how to play the veena better, we can't think, well, I've already been here since time eternal, I know everything. Who are you to teach me? No, the devotees are always anxious to learn from those who are better than they are. Even Krishna learns from his devotees. Yes?
Now, what is happening in Vrindavan is that more and more buildings are coming up, high-rise buildings, and the natural beauty is going down. So it is becoming more and more like a city. So how you should understand this?
It's Kali Yuga. We should understand that's what happens when you forget Krishna. So what to do? That's people's consciousness is like that. So we have to become Krishna conscious ourselves. And whoever we meet, we try to help them become Krishna conscious, so they'll be satisfied in life. Otherwise, they'll want bigger and bigger buildings to try to be happy that way. But generally speaking, Vrindavan is a place to visit for some time. Our real mission is preaching, either here in Vrindavan or outside of Vrindavan, not to worry about the buildings that are coming up. Because the real Vrindavan is Aprakat Vrindavan. Of course, we have the places of Krishna's pastimes, and when we go there, we can remember Krishna and his pastimes. But ultimately, we're not dependent upon how many buildings or lack of buildings. We're depending upon where our consciousness is and our desire to serve Krishna in any circumstance, either here in Vrindavan or outside of Vrindavan. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad-Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Or Premanande.